Welcome back, everybody. Today we're gonna play Viper on Abyss. Today is day 21.
Stupid.
They're not.
What's 9 plus 10?
21.
You stupid.
Of playing every agent on every map. Starting off, I wanna say, playing Viper as a solo controller on Abyss is a really bad idea. Don't play Viper on this map if you don't have another Smokes agent on your team. In the end, I'm also gonna explain why some Smokes agents are better on different maps, and I'm gonna have a full breakdown of all the Smokes agents in the game. So if you wanna see that, skip to this part in the video, and you're just gonna see that, not the guide on Viper on Abyss. Starting off with A-side defense. On A-side defense, it's always really strong to have a one-way up here. To do that with a Viper, you get here, exactly where this dot is, and line up in the middle. And then you aim the right part of your hut right here, so it bounces off the roof and lands perfectly on top of these boxes. Like that, you can play in main, put up the orb, and have a one-way for the enemies if they come out. And if they're gonna come through, you're just gonna have 3 kills because they are gonna be low because of the decay from the orb. The other option for A defense is a wall like this one. This wall is really good because it blocks off main, and it also blocks off both lanes of mid. So it is really good for your team to come up here, take space right here as soon as you put your wall up because of A main. Because the enemies are not going to see anything. If they push through, they're going to be lower because of the decay. And it's generally a pretty good A defense wall. You can also just throw an orb right here in main, so if they are trying to come out, you can just put it up. Then throw a molly in, and they're not going to be able to come out. And if they come out, they're going to take a lot of damage. This is pretty strong, but I recommend you have another person holding with you. So as soon as your orb goes down, you then need to hold from like multiple angles to keep them in main. You can also just keep your molly, put your orb up. As soon as your orb goes down, throw the molly then. So they can't come through main. They're either going to be low because of the decay or low because of your vulnerable and molly right here. You can just spray them from here or even on the other side. One last option you have for a side defense is a orb like this right here on the edge. Like this. You have kind of have a one-way if they are trying to come through here, trying to be over here somewhere, trying to plant on default. And you can play in heaven, put this orb up as soon as they're trying to plant, and then molly it. You can then either spray one side here or here. If they're coming out, they're going to be dead. If they stay in there, they're going to be dead as well. And anyone trying to come up, it has a lot of trouble. This orb is also good if you're trying to go for the diffuse later, because it covers the main parts where they plant. They're usually planting either here or here. And with an orb like this, you can stand fully inside of the orb and diffuse like at the edge of the spike, and they're not going to be able to see you from main. Switching over towards mid. You can use the same wall I showed you before that goes through here. Place that in the beginning of the round, then run over towards mid and contact up mid. It's really good. Or you can use a orb either down here to block them off from the lower part so they can't see you from here, and you can go at the rope, go up, and then try to fight the people here close. Or you use your orb at the top, right here, put it up, go up here, and then you can contact up. You can even throw it further in, like for example down here, so you can contact up all the way to here, but it's pretty risky. This is pretty good if you want to go up here. If they always destroy this door, you can then go in and hold them from here. They're not going to be able to hear you opening this door up here, so they're not going to think you're in here. There's also another orb lineup you can do in mid to one-way these boxes right here. You can get yourself right in here on top of this line. Just look all the way down and then walk back to the wall. And then aim with your hut right here. And wait till the barrier goes down. As soon as the barrier goes down, you throw an orb. It bounces off the roof, and it lands right on the edge right here. Like this, you're gonna be able to put the orb up. And if you play here, they're not gonna be able to see you from up there, if they peek out here. And you can hold the people trying to come down here. They're gonna be vulnerable if they come through, and you can just spray them easily with a phantom or anything. You can also then use a molly to even do more damage and keep them from going in towards mid. Switching over towards B. On B, you can do a simple wall in the beginning of the round when you stand right here. And just look over towards here. Check so it goes over these boxes right here again, the same thing as a harbor. So you have the smoke in mid for these boxes too, and it covers like more range. With a wall like this, you have this cut off right here. If they're coming through and the wall is up, you're gonna have a advantage on them. You can even spray through. If you hear somebody stepping or jumping up, you can just spray through and get a free kill. In mid, it's also kind of good. It misses the upper part right here. That's the only bad thing. But your team can contact up here and hide behind this wall right here. And as soon as they get a kill, they can tell you to put up the wall. And you can put up the wall and they can just run back all the way. The other option you have a couple of options with your orb. You can either throw it right here in main. Just use it to hold main. It also covers window if you play in front of here. And you can just molly. Pretty strong. You can stand here right on this edge, on this line. And then just aim at this beam in the middle between the top and the bottom. Where the second beam is. And then just normal throw. It's landing perfectly in the window and blocks off everything. So you can walk down mid if you want to do it. Or you can just isolate the angles in main from the angles in heaven. If they're going to come out of heaven, they're going to be low. And you're going to have a free kill on them. Another thing you can do to deny the default plant spot is to throw a orb right here at around this spot. Doesn't really matter if it is too accurate. And then as soon as they are taking side and trying to plant, you can then throw a molly from right here. You aim at the corner of this thing. And then just throw it. It takes a long time to land. And if your orb is up, it lands perfectly inside the orb. And covers all of the default plant spot. They're gonna take some damage from it, but it's most of the times not really worth using it. The other way to use a molly doesn't even have to be a precise lineup. You can use a orb right here if they're trying to plant main. And then you can either throw a molly from here, just like this, to stop them from planting. Or you throw one from heaven at these boxes right here, put up the orb, and then just molly off of this. It lands in the middle, it does a lot of damage to the people trying to come in. It doesn't cover the default plant pod too good, so it's more worth to use that one if they are coming in and trying to plant here. For ults, I found a couple of useful ults. You can use one if you stand on top of these boxes all the way in the corner and aim right there. You can then ult. And it ults all of the default plant spots in main, so you can just play posts, or you can play plant denial with a molly right here. The enemies are gonna struggle to come up here unless they have a chat that dashes up. And you can also use a orb right here on the bridge if they're trying to plant on the bridge. You can then just throw a molly right here and they're not going to be able to plant. You can also go out of your wall right here if your orb goes down and then try to peek the people backside. Don't forget to go in your ult though, because if you go out of your ult and then don't come back in, it's going to go down. Another thing a lot of people don't know is that you can cancel your ult by pressing X again. Or just your ult button again. By just holding it, your ult slowly goes down. And it sometimes works to fake the people off, because the enemies are gonna think, yeah, your ult went down, so you left the site. And they're gonna come back in towards site, thinking, yeah, you're not on site, and you get free kills off of them. The other ult I found is not a really precise one. You can just use a ult like this one. And it covers a lot of space. It covers all of main, so you can It covers all of main, so you can stay here and just hold them from coming in. And use a molly, so they are not going to be able to come in. You just can hold them pretty easily. This is especially good if you have a judge, or if they're just rushing A every round. They're going to take a lot of damage by coming in here, and you basically have a free time killing them. Be careful of Sova drones though, so I'd recommend you have another teammate playing in front of you. For example, a Reyna, or just basically anyone that can help you hold your ult. Somebody with damaging abilities like a Killjoy is also really helpful, because you can just throw a molly right here and the enemies are not going to be able to come through because they're going to take too much damage from the molly and your ult combined. On B you also have a couple of options. An ult like this one is pretty strong if they're always coming through main, because you can see them from above. Most likely they're not going to look up. And if you put that ult up right away in the beginning of the round, they're going to struggle to come in towards side. So B is basically your safe side. You can also hear if somebody jumps over here and use a orb like this one. If you hear the jump, you can just molly. They gotta either jump back or die to the molly. You can also then just spray main, especially with a phantom or a judge. You're gonna take a lot of damage. Anyone coming in main is probably gonna be dead, because you can see them a little further than they can see you. You can do a lot of damage by just spraying wherever they are. Just if you see something moving inside your ult, just shoot it with a phantom. You're gonna be harder to be hit from the enemies though. Another ult you can use is one like this one. This ult is insanely strong for main, because it goes in really deep, and you're gonna have a easy time holding all of it with a ult like this. You can either have a person holding main from like here or even behind here, and you can molly just so they can't get through. And you yourself can hold from back here. Anyone trying to come in here has to either walk on top of this ledge, which is pretty hard. Sometimes people fall off even, and you're gonna be able to see them if you play here. And you can just spray them easily. Especially if you hear somebody jumping up, you can fully spray them and it's gonna be a free kill for you. Switching over towards attack. Attack is the side where you're really gonna struggle if you're playing only Viper as your only controller on this map. You can use a wall either like this one through the top. It doesn't really help your team out too much. It just covers the top and you gotta clear the rest of backside pretty much by yourself. And then you can throw a orb like this one to clear out backside. Covers all of backside. This wall covers all of heaven. It kind of works out, but like the orb and the wall up at the same time is going to drain a lot of your fuel, and you only can have that up for a couple of seconds. So it's not really worth using the orb and CT right away. Just use your wall like this and you can take side. The other option you have is a wall like this one. I personally think this wall is pretty bad. It's only worth on like eco rounds or something. Because you give the enemies so much space on backside, even in heaven. And like that you can only like really plant back here, which is a okay plant spot if you're in an eco. Or even back here. Back here is better, but they can see you from heaven. And it really sucks to take a site like this. The other option you have, if the enemies are smoking main, and you can see that gap right here, just aim around up here at the same line as this one is, so it bounces off of this wall and smokes tower. But you need to have a smoke in main, and the enemies need to smoke here first, and you can't really see that spot if they are smoking main, so this is a really risky one. You can then get yourself line up like this, and aim around here, and just throw. It lands perfectly in heaven, smokes all of heaven. It's actually a pretty good smoke. And you can just use that one to take site and use your wall, for example, on mid to lurk in mid, or just don't use it at all, or use it in a post plant. For an ult, I recommend you use one like this. An ult like this covers the top, so the people from up here are not going to be able to see you. You gotta be careful of Sova darts and fade reveals, though it's really risky. But you can also take all of backside. The enemies that are coming from CT are gonna have a hard time clearing out that ult. But you gotta be aware that the enemies can just walk all the way around, so I'd recommend you have a teammate holding this from here. And I recommend you have a teammate just holding this if they jump in from here. It's gonna be harder for the enemies to come into this ult, and if you plant it right here, it's basically a free round for you guys, unless your team's just peeking stupidly. But it should be a free round for you guys if you have an ult up like this. For mid, you have a couple of options. An orb like this one is pretty often played in pro play to deny vision from here. Like that, you can isolate the angle right here and just contact all the way up and even destroy this door, and then split in towards A. If you want to split in towards A, you just use a second wall like this one, similar to the harbor wall. You can put that up, go through here, clear out heaven. The heaven's gonna be smoked from here, CT is gonna be smoked from here, and you can even hide in this corner. You might get sprayed though, if they're trying to come out CT. This spot right here is some sort of obvious, but like sometimes people are not gonna check it, and if they're not gonna check it, you're gonna get a couple of kills. Another option you have for mid is a wall like this one. A wall like this one isn't the greatest one, especially because you kind of cut yourself off from here. But it is pretty good to go up, take some space, especially if you contact up from here. You don't really have to worry about this angle right here. You can then just try to sneak through, but it is pretty risky, and it's only worth if you have somebody that can flash out here to clear out this. It also smokes CT, so your team can easily cross over here and then go towards site. You can also use an orb like this one. You get yourself lined up in this corner and then just aim at the edge of the wall and then just run through. Like this, the orb lands right in front of this. If you put it up, they're not going to be able to see you from there. They are, however, going to be able to see you from up here a little bit if you cross out here. But you can then, if you come from this side, they're not going to be able to see you just from here. So you only got to worry about this angle here. Let's go back towards B. On B, you can use the same wall as a harbor wall from up here. Either a wall like this one. This wall isn't the greatest one because it's kind of hard to get it perfectly on this edge. The enemies can just peek out of the wall right here, and keep holding your team and then just go back in. But however, I have a lineup for a wall that is perfectly on the edge, and I can show that to you right away. For the lineup, you get yourself lined up on this stair right here. There's like 2 more steps above. You look all the way down. Get yourself lined up with the wall in the back. And then aim straight towards this edge here. The wall goes here a little in front, and then goes up here so far so that you can't really peek out. You can still kind of peek out, but it's way harder for the enemies to peek out here. So it is a pretty good wall. And even if they are peeking out here, they're gonna take decay damage, so it's a free kill for your team. Third option for a wall you have is a wall like this one. This wall is a really bad wall because you again give them a lot of space in backside, and even they can peek you from heaven. To stop the peek from heaven, you can also just throw an orb, but you need the wall in front of you because the wall right here is a cover for you to throw the orb in heaven. There's not really a lineup you can do for the orb in heaven that's reliable, or I haven't really found one. So this is your best bet to smoke heaven. You can just use that wall to smoke heaven, and then use your orb to cut off heaven. If you have taken sight and you still have your orb, you can just throw your orb here on top of the spike if you plant it right here in this corner. And then you can go back. You can get yourself stuck in this corner right here on top of these boxes, and then just aim right in this dark spot right here. It isn't even too precise. You can just throw your molly. It goes really high up and then lands on the default plant spot. The same thing can be done if you plant around this spot right here. Use an orb right here to block off all of the enemies and make them have decay damage. And then you can get yourself stuck in the same corner. You then get yourself lined up in this corner again, and you can use this part of the hut right here and aim it at this spot right here. Aim it a little further inside though, because the molly tends to fly pretty far. And then just normal shoot. It's gonna land right on the edge and gonna cover all of this right here. Anyone trying to defuse here is gonna take a lot of damage from it. By the way, Viper is the best agent to learn lineups on. First of all, her smoke flies like a lot of different other utilities, like for example a Killjoy Molly, a Deadlock Raftnet, and a bunch of others more. Second of all, you can see on the mini-map, or even on the big map here, if you aim somewhere, the orb changes. So it always throws where your orb is on the map. The only thing I found, which is pretty interesting though, it doesn't work on Abyss. On most other maps, as far as I know, I haven't found a map where it doesn't work, but it doesn't work on Abyss right now. So they have to fix this. The other thing there is the Viper Molly. The Viper Molly flies the exact same way as a Brimstone Molly, except it bounces 1 time less, and it also flies pretty similarly to a KO Knife. KO Knife flies a little farther. But it's also always really good to know if you have a Viper that you can get lineups for other agents as well. So if you know a Molly lineup you can use with a Viper, for example the one I showed you today from here, you can also use that on a Brim. The Brim Molly just bounces once, so I'd recommend you aim a little lower. That would basically be it from me. Again, I recommend you do not use Viper on this map as a solo smoker. It is a really bad pick, because first of all, it's hard to solo smoke with a Viper on defense, and defense is Viper's strong suit, and on attack it's even harder. You can barely block off all the angles you need, and it's pretty hard if you have only a Viper to smoke. If I had to give Viper on Abyss a rating, I'm gonna have to actually give out 2 different ratings. We're gonna have our first F tier of this series, because Viper as a solo controller on Abyss is just you're throwing your team's game. Like, it's so hard to play Viper as the only controller on your team, and if you do that and you want to win the game, you're just, sorry, you're not trying to win the game, you're just throwing your game by picking a Viper as an only smoker. If you use her with another smoker though, Viper is pretty strong. So if you have another smoker in your team, I'll bump her up to a B tier. I still think Harbor is better on Abyss as a secondary smoker, but Viper is still a decent pick you can use if you have 2 smokers on your team. That would be it from me. I just want to say again, Viper is a good smokes agent on a lot of different maps, but you need to have a second smoker to use Viper with. Viper is only playable as a solo controller on Breeze and Icebox. And those 2 maps are not in the map pool right now and are not coming back soon. So for any Viper main, I kind of include myself in that category as well, because I have a lot of hours on Viper. It's a pretty hard time right now, And if you want to play Viper on different maps, I recommend you have a duo mate that at least plays a Clove so your team has real smokes too. That would be it for me though. If you want to see any other agent on any other map, write them down in the comments. By the way, tomorrow we're going to play Yoru on Split. And if you enjoyed, leave a like, also subscribe. And if you want to support me even further, you can come watch me on Twitch where I stream almost daily, and I would be really happy to see you there. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and see you guys very soon. Bye!